Dangerous Donna. I once dated a gal who gave me such a thrill. Donna had long red hair straight past her shoulders, a cute turned-up nose on a mischievous face, and a figure that could be immortalized on the back of a trucker's mudflap. She was wild and sassy and could say anything to anybody and never hesitated to do so. I'm a bit more restrained, so I had to cringe sometimes, but everyone always had a big laugh. I loved strolling with her downtown or taking her to a KMA dance. The anticipation of a good time put me in such a good spirit. She often told me her face hurt so much from laughing when she got home from a date with me. That made me feel grand, but her laughs came easy, and that is just another thing I found so irresistible about her. She had one of those looks and smiles that drew people in, relaxed them, and made them smile back and say hello. When I met Donna, she hadn't gone downtown much and knew little about it. I can't get enough of Knoxville, so I'd take her there to all my favorite spots on Market Square and Gay Street and about town. We'd share sidewalk meals and drinks. We'd walk with a skip in her step and watch the people. As for me, I'm fascinated by personalities and the spontaneity of social interactions. She was perfect for that. I quickly realized I could experience all the interactions I wanted when I was with her. We were like a comedy team, and I developed a knack for setting up a routine. I was the straight guy and she was the clown. As we were going into a restaurant, I'd scan the tables and patrons and aim for the perimeter, but sit us close enough to a promising prospect so she could lean over and make a comment. If we were feeling more casual, we'd seek out a lively place with a bar. I'd spot someone I thought would be engaging and sit her on a stool next to him. Sure enough, it wouldn't take long and she'd find something about him to comment on, and off we'd go. Once at Clancy, she didn't get started, but I was curious, who is this handsome couple that was so well dressed and sitting next to her? I whispered to Donna, I'm curious about these guys. How about we get their story? So she asked him how his meal tasted, and soon her magic was working again. A lively four-way conversation built up, and we got a couple free tickets to see his hockey team at the Coliseum. Another time and place, we weren't even close to a couple, but they were young and happy, and she couldn't resist hollering out if they had been married long. That's all it took, and soon we were side by side exchanging business cards and Facebook addresses. One time it was at the Lonesome Dove. It's more formal in a proper place, but that didn't stop Donna. I guided her to a bar stool next to an older fella and his friend near the end of the bar. Turns out they were from Nashville on business and so out in the town alone. Didn't take Donna long to force one of my cringes. Lord knows how she could, but she told them about our first date with more detail than I'd care to tell my best friend. I guess she sized up the situation accurately and had us rolling. I suppose they thought Knoxville was a racy but happy town. It was then I started teasing and calling her Dangerous Donna, the gal with the hazardous curves. The KMA dances were always a treat. The first time we went, she wouldn't dance. We hadn't yet danced anywhere together, so I was surprised that she of all people was too shy to do so. So we sat and talked to one of the couples that shared our table. We traded introductions and chuckles as usual. They were dancers. I said we were not sure if we would. Well, he had an instinct, so he stood and took Donna's hand and said, "Come on, I'll show you." My mouth dropped as she followed and looked back, pleading for help. I'm no watcher, so I asked his gal to join me. Donna was instantly beaming and enjoying. She wouldn't leave the dance floor. From then on, she was pulling me onto it. Often I found myself abandoned there when she would spin off and grab some guy that caught her fancy. Whoever it was, he was always thrilled to go along with it. Amazingly, I never saw a frown on his gal's face. I think it was clear that Don and I were joined at the hip, and no threat at all. I'd dance with his partner to make sure none of us were abandoned and alone. It got crazy when she busted into one of those dance circles the girls like to do. I was tempted to turn and shield my eyes from her wiggles and waves, but she grabbed me and made me do one of those embarrassing solo struts in front of them all. Then she'd grab one of the single gals and pull her and me together to dance. Sometimes it would be someone as shy she wanted to draw in. She enlisted me to make that gal feel included. Donna's invitation alone was enough to do that, so I figured my job was to make it fun. Sometimes the gal was someone attractive and sure of herself and whom Donna knew I would admire, so she hooked me up to give me a thrill. It was okay. We were confident and secure in each other and knew the last dance would be ours. Donna could even make fire extinguisher training on Market Square a memorable event, so I encouraged her over. She did well, perhaps because the lesson lasted longer than it would normally. There were, of course, the usual rounds of laughter. Another event I can't not tell for risk of ever forgetting. She wanted to go out on a Halloween night. She wanted to dress up and asked if I had a costume. Sure do, I said. I have a great pirate suit. She giggled and said she'd go as a wench. I said, of course, that would be most suitable for you, and a fitting costume for me, to go with me. She knew well her devilish persona and laughed heartily in anticipation. I tried on my outfit, and I must admit I looked good in it. I had lost weight since I bought it 10 years ago, so my belly was tighter, and I didn't stretch out so much between the buttons. The Buccaneer's cap covered my receding hairline, so aside from a clean face with a few age spots, I could pass as Captain Jack Sparrow. When Donna answered her door, her eyes opened wide with glee at how I looked, and I'd about fell over when I saw her in that bodysuit with arms stretched wide to hold open the door and wave me in. Oh la la. There is nothing like dressing up to make one feel good, and there is nothing like a great costume to bring out a most playful spirit on top of that. We gabbed and laughed and the whole drive to downtown. The walk through the square was festive as everyone was energized, beaming, and engaging. We'd stop and talk and compliment, then move on to see what's next. Dinner was fun as usual, but this time we didn't need to set up a routine. The whole town was a stage for comedy. On the way back to her home, we were still so wound up. I had very little to drink, and that was hours before, but still I felt high with laughter. I must have acted so because I almost missed a stop sign and drifted through another. I turned onto Cumberland Avenue that passes through the UT College campus. The street was lined with students frolicking, and most were costumed. Our windows were down to take it all in. One lad was a pirate that could have been a younger me. I couldn't help but calling out, "Arg, shiver me timbers." Well, that distraction was long enough to get me halfway into an intersection that had just turned red when Donna hollered, "Stop!" Half a block down, the blue lights came on, and I looked for a parking lot to pull off the street. Donna was a retired judge and told me to get serious and stop laughing. I wiped my hand over my face to force on a frown. The campus officer read me my list of infractions as I struggled to not grin. When he returned to his squad car, Donna reminded me to behave, that I could be in serious trouble. By some miracle of kindness or the spirit of our intentions, I got away with just a warning. That experience just wound me up all the more, and it was no less hard to stay careful the rest of the way home. Alas and sadly, the metaphorical, magical dance of my time with Donna did end, and we parted ways. We had different goals, and she moved out of town to be near one of her daughters. I went back to KMA with a friend a year later, and a number of the guys with familiar faces pulled me aside one by one to ask where my redhead friend was. Don and I have texted on rare occasion, a very brief hello. It's a pleasant reminder that my fond memories are not alone in this world and are shared by a kindred spirit that knows them as well as I do. It's a comfort to think perhaps someday she and I might sit and reminisce and feel that same joy over and again, if only in our hearts and minds. It's this comfort that also makes it hard for me to venture out alone in a social setting, for fear I might experience something special that will be mine alone to remember. Shared memories are a reminder to me of why a lifelong commitment to a partner and a commitment to a life filled with socializing and joy is so important for happiness. To paraphrase my youngest brother Neil, you need to live, live, live until you die. But I'll add to Neil's mantra to do it with a special someone, to make it better, and to be able to savor the memories with that kindred spirit till death do you part.